friends, it's Diane, the Creative Inkster, and it is Wednesday, November the 9th, 2022. We're here for a What's Up Wednesday, and this is where I take about 20 minutes, show you something new. It might be a tip, it might be a trick, it might be a stamp room opportunity or a change or an organizational tip. It could even actually be a new technique, which is what I'm going to show you tonight. But I have a couple of other tricks I want to share with you just while I have you, and I was going into doing some upkeep things, and so I thought, well, gee, I should just wait till I go live and share that with friends. That's way more fun. So if you are watching live, please let me know you're here. I'd love to see your happy face and comments. And if you're watching the replay, well, you haven't missed a thing. You're here, and that's the important thing. So please leave me a note that you were watching and catching up on this week's What's Up Wednesday. I also have videos on Mondays, Facebook Lives, and then they post the video there as well with pictures and a supplies list. So that's all in a link on the Facebook page to my blog. I blog these as well, and so there's other ideas you might see over there from time to time, so check that out too. So we are just about a minute and a half in, and I'm going to show you a couple of tricks, and one was that I was looking at my blocks and remembering that I read my friend Glenda's blog post, and she was like, look, I cleaned out my blocks, and I'm like, oh man, it is time. But I'm going to use two on this card. I'm going to use one for the greeting and one for the flowers. So I'm going to show you what I do. So I have this in my stamp room, isopropyl alcohol 99%. Not the best choice for this, and the reason for that is if you're trying to clean, and when I say clean it, I'm cleaning ink and I'm cleaning residue, and sort of, I don't know why adhesive gets on it, it just does. But I wouldn't use this 99% alcohol. I keep that for special techniques because it dries super fast, which is what you want for the techniques, not what you want when you're cleaning your box. But I do have some that's 70%, so I could use that. I also have been known to use Goo Gone, great product. No, I don't have affiliate links. I'm just here to share my thoughts. It works really well, only the thing I find is I have to kind of wash with soap and water afterwards because it has an oily piece to it, to the formulation. It's a bit oily, and I don't have time to go and do that tonight, so we're not using that. So I'm going to go to my hand sanitizer, which who doesn't have this en masse hanging out around the house? So I'm going to grab an old rag I have here. I actually use it for a bunch of different things, but it's perfect color-wise because it's really dark and hides a multitude of issues. So I just use this foaming kind of hand sanitizer. You can use any kind of hand sanitizer. But I'm just kind of going back and forth on here. Probably, this is supposed to be a lint-free cloth, but maybe a paper towel or a tissue would, get all of the stuff off of it when I'm done, like the wet. But anyway, it's still a bit scratched because that's what happens with blocks when you toss them around in your craft room, but it's no longer sticky and no longer has ink on it, which also gets on there. So let me do the other one. Do the same thing, do both sides of the large size of them. This works on any acrylic blocks that you have in your craft room. And then just wipe the edges a little bit too, and then give it a little buffing up, I suppose, to get it dry and ready to go. And if it doesn't all come off, have another little go at it. There we go. So because it's using hand sanitizer, you don't need to worry about washing them off. But now it should be good and slick and perfect for my stamps, because if it's too oily, if it has oils from your hand and residue and such on it, your stamps won't stick well to them. So there we go. We have two clean blocks. The other tip I wanted to show you is I have this grid paper that I work off of, And sometimes as I'm working on it, I get little bits of adhesive. So this little tool, which you can get at Dollar Tree, Stampin' Up! Did used to sell it, but we don't anymore. If you buy one of these for like $1.25, it's going to last you a really long time. I used to cut it into 4s because you want to get using the edges, and then you peel this. It's like a gummy, I don't know what this thing is, but anyways, it's an adhesive remover. It pulls all of your sticky. So I've got a bit of adhesive right here, and if I just use this on my grid paper, like I'd normally use this on my cardstock, that would be the purpose. If I got too much adhesive where I didn't want it, you need to just let your adhesive dry, whatever it is, and it works on all the Stampin' Up! Ones. I can't speak for any other brands. But if you use it on it once it's dried, well, you can get that excess off. So if you've had something here that you didn't want on your card. So I figured it would work the same way on my grid paper, which is not messy in any other way. It just got sticky. So just going to give it a little bit of a rub down, and that will remove the stickiness. And so it's all clean and ready to go again. So a couple tips for my craft room. This is the project that we were going to work on tonight. So let me show you. It's called the burnt wood technique, and we're going to do this piece of white and turn it into what looks like burnt wood. So let me tell you what you need. You need some kind of a scoring tool, and you're going to score every 1/2 inch on a piece of paper. So I'm starting with a 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to score every 1/2 inch. Is that what I said? Because I feel like I said something different. Every 1/2 inch. So we'll stick this in on this side. And that just kind of gives the look of wood planks, if you will. So every 1/2 inch. So I can go over to the right here. And then I can turn it around and keep going. So it's 4. So I'm going to make 7 1/2 inch marks. So 2.5. So, oh dear, did I goof that up? No, I can still do that in the middle. There we go. Usually I do this with my scoring, Simply Scored, which it's easier for me to see because the paper doesn't cover over where the numbers are. There we go. And obviously, if your card was going this way, you would do your plank lines this way. So that's scoring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times across a 4-inch piece every 1/2 inch. So I think we're done with that. Then I need some scratch messy paper because we're going to do a messy thing here. We just cleaned up our grid paper. And now we're going to take some ink pads. And for the burnt look, you could do this with other colors for another look, but if you want it to look like burnt wood, we're going to use crumb cake, soft suede, and early espresso. So let's start with crumb cake. We start with our lightest color first. So you just open your ink pad. You could do this with the ink spots as well. You just have to hold them in a little bit different way because it's a smaller piece, the 1 inch by 1 inch. We're not going to use the edge where we pull the ink pad open. Where this little edge is, we're going to go from the other end. So push it into place. We're going to use the other end. And we're just going to, starting off the page, run the ink pad down your piece of paper. And you can make it as dark or as light as you'd like. Just remember, you can't add, you can always add, you can't take away. So we've got some lines there, some streakiness. Does not need to be in any way perfect. So we've done crumb cake. We'll do soft suede in the same manner. So we're using this end of the ink pad, not the end that has the pull tab. We're going to do the same thing. It's a lot darker, so we're going to go an even lighter touch. But I did manage to get some on there quite nicely. These 3 colors, crumb cake, soft suede, and early espresso, work so nice together. A, for this technique, but also simply because they're all neutral colors. Look at that. Look what that's doing. Okay, beautiful. And so the final piece is to actually run this through an embossing folder. So on my sample, I had used the pretty flowers, because that's the one I saw that the person had done this. And the person who did this was Tracy St. Louis in Ottawa area, and she showed how to do this one, and she used pretty flowers. For something different, I'm going to use the timber, and because it's wood grain, right? So the wood grain going vertically here, I'll stick my paper into the embossing folder. It's definitely dry. If anybody's wondering, oh no, you just put ink on that paper, it dries very quickly. And then I'll just run this once through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which I know is going to make the table shake. There we go. And then, ooh, it's magic! There we go. So we've got our streaky lines, and then we've got this beautiful embossing, and those scored edges, look at how they're white inside, so it gives a real nice definition. So I feel like I'm going to need to add a little bit more at the top here, and I'm going to add a little soft suede. And then I'll dress up the card, finish it off, and show you how that worked. Oh man, look at that. All right, so I added a little more than I wanted to. I don't want to overdo it, because you know, if you overdo it, you can't underdo it. All right, there we go. Now, after embossing, I added another little bit of ink, and you'll see that those embossed areas are now raised up even more. Hi, Vicki, welcome. So then the rest of the pieces for my card are as follows. I'll have to go back and see the beginning of this. So we need a card base. I did mine at 4 1/4 by 11, so it's still half a sheet, just cut on that lengthwise. And I'm going to fold it in half at 5 1/2 where it was scored, and just give it a nice crease. This is going on the front, so this piece of white is going on the inside. We'll put that in now, because we all know that Diane will forget later when she needs to send the cards out. So we put the white in now. Hence the reason I always seem to need white cardstock, because I need to, when a package comes, I need to just cut it right away into 4 by 5 1/4 inch pieces, just the whole pack, and then I've got a whole bunch ready to go. Anybody else do that? I've always toyed with the idea, but I've never done it. All right, so following the pattern here, we're going to put our embossed and inked up piece down, and I'm just going to glue it straight down, no dimensionals on this one. Here we go. There we are. And we're going to stamp a greeting. And this is from Inspired Thoughts. It did have dies in the bundle when I first purchased it. Those dies have now retired, so we just have for this the stamp set. I still have mine in there because they're ones I probably wouldn't get rid of. So, and then I think we're going to use the same nice squared off greeting. It fits nicely on this stitched square. And it says, it's your time to be remembered, to feel appreciated, and to know you're celebrated. How nice is that? All right, so I'm going to do it in Early Espresso, the darkest color. Look at that, just stuck my thumb in the ink pad. Anyone ever done that? That's okay, it'll wash off. So this is square. I don't need to worry about right side up or anything. And we're going to center this. Centering it on a bigger square than I kind of need for the greeting, because as you can see, I've got my flowers covering around it. This would make a really nice thank you card for a coworker or one of your team members if you're a leader. Just a nice greeting for somebody. So now we're going to do some flowers. Now we have this flower punch called, I think it's called Flowers and Leaves, and because it's got flowers and leaves on it, go figure. It has a matching stamp set, because if you just punch the flowers, that's fine, but I feel like they need a little bit of definition, and that's what this does. So it does both size of flowers in the punch. You get both, and I did use the smaller one. So on soft succulent with crumb cake, I'm going to stamp those flowers. And this stamp is wonderful because if you have it, doesn't matter what petal is down or to the right, it will still fit into that punch. It's, I guess, equal sizing. So we're going to do total of 3. And I learned before that I need to kind of really space them out so that it doesn't cut them off when I stick it in the punch. So that's all we need that ink pad for, and we are good. So we'll tuck that guy away. Here we go. In here and get this flower. One. These colors are so pretty together. 2. Been a long day. My eyes are a little off here for positioning. 3. And then you got all kinds of pieces flopping around. So we only need to keep certain pieces. I could have cut that probably thinner and then just not had so much excess, but that's okay. So there's our 3 flowers, and then with the bow punch, love this one, I've got a lovely leaf, and then this would be a flower too, but it wasn't one that I wanted with this. So let's just make this a little bit smaller. I only need 2 in soft suede and 2 in crumb cake for this to match my design. So there's 1, and here's 2. 2 beautiful leaf punches. So I use this one a lot, and then a couple out of some scrap crumb cake as well. So let's see if we can get 2 out of the same piece. Probably not. I keep thinking I'm going to keep those little pieces, but I don't. Oh yeah, I can get 2 out of this. There we go. Put that scrap back in my bin. All right. So we have all our bits and pieces. Now we're ready to put these together. I'm going to glue these crumb cake and green leaf pieces to the back of the greeting, like so. All right, at one end and at one corner and the other corner. The only thing you need to be mindful of is that you don't want this to stick out past your card. So you just want to kind of position that, kind of audition your card and get a sense of where that's going to land. All right, so what I'll do is put a little glue here and a little glue down here. And we're going to pop it up in dimensionals. Yes. So that's going to be the next step. So it's okay if we have a little bit of glue sticking where we don't want. So here's my glue on the back. I'm going to put this one here. It's a little messy. You could use glue dots. That would probably go less messily, if that's a word. Okay, and then these 2 down here. And just like in nature, they don't have to be perfect, but they do have to stick. Now I see how the glue got on my paper. Okay, so then we're going to put some dimensionals on it. And when I do this and I put something on the back, I tend to put my dimensionals right over those pieces that I've cut and placed, because that helps them stay where I want them to stay. No one's going to see the back, so it doesn't matter if they're not equidistant apart. Don't overthink it. Just do it, and do it with lots of dimensionals, lots of heart. Okay, so I'm going to try to get this straight. There we go. My greeting straight, and that's on there. Look at that, looking pretty, coming along. And now we've got our pretty flowers to stick on. I was going to show you this other little trick, which I haven't done in ages, but I thought about it with these flowers. So if you take, it could be an eraser on the pencil. I have my take your pick tool, which has a lovely rounded end here. I don't want to use this one, which is rectangular in shape on this end, but on the end with the putty, it's circular. And I'm just going to stick that right down in the middle of my flower where the circle is. Look at how that pops them up. And what I'm using here is our Stampin' Pierce mat. You could use an old catalog. I happen to have a Stampin' Pierce mat, so that's what I'm using. And then you can glue these down. I'm going to use glue dots for this just because I feel like they may not dry. Where did my other flower go? It just went flying over here. What the hey? Where'd you go? I might have to do another one. Picked my hand up and it was attached to me and it went flying. Oh, I see it's on the floor. Okay, that just means we get to do another one. That's fine. Grab another piece of soft succulent because we gotta have 3. 3 would be a perfect number. And our crumb cake ink. And that pretty flower, like that. It stuck to my finger and went flying. Push this guy out. We're back in business. Usually when I'm crafting, something goes missing, and I'm forever looking for stuff. Now, what was that trick again? We take our Take Your Pick tool and the Stampin' Pierce mat, press down in the middle, and you've got some 3-dimensionalized pretty flowers. And then if you just take your glue dots on the middle of them, it's less messy than, say, liquid glue, less dimension than you need. You don't need a dimensional for that. There's enough going on here. And better than your Stampin' stamp. My goodness, your adhesive, tape runner adhesive. Alrighty. Didn't look to see if I was covering up my words. I might be, but I don't think so. All turned out quite nicely. And then we can just go ahead and add something to the centers, because look, it looks a little bit plain, right? It needs a little pizzazz. And this time I'm going to use the iridescent pearls. There are 2 sizes in these guys. You get 150 pearls for about $9, I want to say. 2 different sizes. The small ones that we use a lot, and then the little bit bigger ones. And these guys are iridescent in that they have this really nice multicolored kind of look to the sheen to the top of them. Come on, come on. Don't be sticking to the table now. There we go. And the other ones I used gold, but it was time to do something different. So there we go. That is the burnt wood technique. So thanks for hanging with me. I hope you like this, and we'll give this one a try. It's really versatile. This one looks less busy because I used a straight up and down pattern with the timber embossing folder. This one, with using the flowers, just has a little bit different look and feel to it. Looks more like a fence, sort of on the side of the garden, or a lattice or something like that. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good week. Bye for now.